Hi everyone, welcome to the Velero community meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, and let's kick things off. So just before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please join the HackMD and add your name and affiliation to our attendees list. That's really helpful, just so that we know everyone who is here. Okay, great. So let's start things off as we usually do with status updates. So Nolan, you're up first.
Yeah, hello everyone. Sorry, I'm just tossing a link in. Okay. So I wanted to let everyone know that as of June 1st, I will be working on a different team in VMware. It's been great working on Velero for the last 3.5 years, but there's a great team around it now, and we've got some new external core maintainers. So I think the project is in great shape. I can't talk about the group I'm going to quite yet, but their work will be public sometime. I don't want to say any dates and get in trouble. So yeah, I will be here for the remainder of May, and you'll probably see me around. I'll be working on related things. With that in mind, I'm committed to working on the Velero debug command and the manifest design doc that I've already gotten started. So those are going to be my big objectives for the month of May. Any questions?
Well, I just want to say thanks, because it's been really good having you on the team. It's been really good working with you. And I think Nolan and I have been working together, what, about 3 years almost? 2.5
years. 2 years.
Yeah, right after
acquisition.
FBO came in. Yeah. That's like 2.5. Because
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the years going by fast. Anyway, it's been really good, and I'm glad that you're staying at VMware, because we'll continue to work together, and we'll be able to pick your brains on things. And we may drag you in from time to time.
Yep, I will be around.
Gonna miss you in the Velero community, Nolan.
Yeah, yep. Definitely. And thank you for everything and helping me as a new member get up to speed. I've really learned a lot, and yeah, we're definitely going to miss you.
Yep. I'll miss working on this. All right.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I've got.
Any other questions for Nolan? Anything? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so as for me, I was out on PTO last week, so I've been catching up after that. Apologies to folks that I promised a design doc for plugin versioning to. I've been delayed in getting that out. Things have been a bit hectic because I've been moving house. So that is my focus for this week. I'm going to try and get that out to everyone as soon as possible. So apologies for that. Okay, any questions or comments for me? Okay, let's move on to Dave.
Yeah, so let's see. So we spent a lot of time going through the issue backlog. We're closing some things, prioritizing some things, found some things that had been fixed and, hadn't closed the issue, so that was good. And so we're going to continue working through that. Eleanor's going to speak a little bit more about exactly what's going on there. I tossed in a test that I'd had floating around that did multiple namespaces. So this will do, there's a basic test and a scale test. So it does like 2 namespaces. It also does 2,500 namespaces, both of which work at the moment, which is good. And then I've been working on the Mythical Astrolabe demo for a bit. Hopefully should have something to show in June where all the different pieces, parts fit together. So working on getting Copia in, getting AWS block volumes in, and getting the at least a POC of the Velero serializer into a protected entity. So we'll have more on that soon. And then I'm off for the following 2 weeks, so the 17th through the 28th. And Nolan will be actually taking back the tech lead hat for those 2 weeks.
Oh, and speaking of, I forgot to put it in my own status. I'm doing allergy testing next week over the community meeting, so I will miss the community meeting next week.
Okay. Well, any questions or comments for Dave? Okay, Eleanor, you're up next.
Sure. I think everyone's seen this, but I just want to quickly advertise it here as well. Last week, we ended up splitting the Velero channel on the Kubernetes Slack because we had like a lot of it wasn't clear what the purpose was. So now we have Velero users, which is for users to help each other. And we really love seeing that. But then if you want to talk about development related discussions, like, oh, you want to help or you have a question for the maintainers about the roadmap, say, then Velero Dev is where you want to go. If you want support from maintainers, we do our best, but certainly in terms of support, we always like to see you ask at the GitHub community Q&A, and there's pinned posts on either channel helping you with that, or just ping me and I can help you with how to find that. Also, as Dave said, we're doing a massive backlog grooming, particularly well-timed because I've now getting onto the project, but understanding, need help seeing all the issues. With Nolan leaving, we want to take all the history he has on them. And so just you might see us doing this in the next week. We're triaging into 3 categories. Current is something that we may address in 1.7 or 1.8, roughly in 2021. Icebox, which will have a label, might be addressed in 2.0 or later. So that's 2022, very roughly. And then, of course, we're closing issues. We certainly don't love closing issues, especially those that have merit, but we think it's better than having them sit in kind of a purgatory where just with 411 issues, we cannot get to all of them. So we're hoping to close the ones that are quite old or that we just don't feel like there's enough demand relative to the work needed to be put into them, but feel free to talk to me, especially if you are willing to do the work yourself. And just if you like numbers, we started a week ago with 411 issues. We triaged 134 over about 4 or 5 hours of work. And of those 134, 31 were staying as current, 42 were icebox, and 61 were closed. We have about twice that to go, 277, and we're hoping to finish by the end of the week of the triage. Then we'll go back and review the current and icebox more closely. So you'll keep hearing more updates. But as always, please ask questions privately or here if you want to know how we're making our decisions. So that's my update.
Great, thanks, Eleanor. Is there any questions for Eleanor?
I'll throw out that we also, for our own sanity, we used like a reviewed in Q2 2021 label. So if you see that it has that label and it's been left open, then awesome. It's something we looked at. Doesn't have that label, we haven't gotten to it yet.
Great, thanks for the extra info, Nolan. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's move on to the discussion topics. So we have an exciting announcement, which is that Scott Seago has joined the core maintainer team. So welcome to the maintainer team, Scott. So yes, this went through just under 2 weeks ago. So we didn't have the community meeting last week, so didn't announce it then. But yeah, welcome, Scott. And if you're interested in what's involved in becoming a maintainer for any of the Velero projects, we do have a governance document in the repository, which you can take a look at, which gives details about the process and the different roles. So yeah, awesome. Okay, next up we have Frankie and Pradeep to talk about a blog post for the website.
Yep. First, I want to say welcome, Scott. Well, I mean, you've been with Velero as far as long as I know. And really glad you joined. It's really sad to see Nolan leaving, but it sounds like you're leaving to some cool, top secret project. That sounds awesome. So best of luck there. I for the short amount of time I've been here, for what's like half a year, Nolan's just been such great help throughout that time. So I definitely wish you best of luck. As for the discussion topic, yep, the blog, I will like to introduce Pradeep. He's actually the one who's been working on it. It's in PR status right now, kind of. I think he'll be the best person to talk about it. So Pradeep, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Frankie. Hi, I'm Pradeep. Recently, I got exposed to Velero. Along with my teammates, we have put together a steps for coming up with a development environment for Velero. And we just want to put it as a blog, so which will be a stepstone for developing plugins. So we have put a pull request. Yeah, this is what. Yeah, and I just request you to go review this blog post.
Awesome. Thank you
Did
very
it
much.
get, I wonder if it, I was just checking the checks on it. Did the auto reviewer?
Yeah, so this is so the auto reviewer action that we have at the moment. There is an issue with it, which Carlesia has already looked into, and there is another pull request open to fix that. So I'll go through and assign some reviewers to look at that, so that someone from the team can take a look. But thank you very much, Pradeep, for adding this.
Thanks.
So it's really helpful to get more input, especially for someone if you're new to the project as well. You'll always I've always find newcomers to the project will find areas that maybe aren't clear in our documentation. So I think, yeah, we'll review this, and yeah, hopefully it'll be very useful to other newcomers to the project.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Okay, so another discussion topic's just been added by LA. Ali, do you want to go ahead and chat about the issue that you're bringing up?
Maybe some AV issues.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at like checking this in a minute, because Zoom, whenever I do screen share, is like pretty laggy and slow. So I'm trying to like scroll through and see where everyone is. Well, should we move on and do the contributor shout outs, and then we can come back to it once those issues are resolved. Okay. Okay, so we have, I think this is going to be a contribution to the Helm charts. So this is from Frederic, who has added a PR to customize the upgrade CRD's job in the Helm chart. So yeah, thank you very much for that change. This was a new job that was added to the Helm chart recently, which means that when you upgrade Velero, you can upgrade the CRDs along with that. This allows some further customizations there. Thank you. Okay. I'll wait for another minute for Ali to see if we can chat about his topic. Sorry, can someone else check to see if there's any other message regarding whether Ali will be able to?
I see in the chat he said he's fixing the microphone. So
oh, okay,
yeah.
great.
Trying to figure that out.
Yeah, this is another thing with unfortunately, I can't open the chat. So I'm really sorry. I'm probably the not the best choice to lead this meeting, but we'll wait for another minute. Does anyone else have any other discussion topics or anything else they want to raise in the meantime? It's all quiet.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Finally, yeah. Sorry about that. I was having some.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, so I'm Alay. I'm working with Scott's team at Reddit using Velero for migration purposes. And so we, in our configuration setup, we used Velero with a custom S3 backend. And we hit an issue where that S3 backend did not respond to the list objects v2 call the way it was supposed to. So just to give a background, the backup sync controller uses list objects v2 pages AWS SDK function to make a list object v2 call to the S3 server. The difference between this list object v2 and list object v1 is subtle. And because of this subtle difference, the server did not respond with a valid v2 response. Instead, it returned with a v1 response. Because of the v1 response missing a particular field in the response called marker, which actually indicates the next page in the pagination request. The Velero code base, well, the SDK prematurely decided that this is end of pages and returned only a small subset of backups that were actually present in the S3 bucket. So out of 788 backups, we were seeing only 555 or something listed in Velero. And we were seeing this mismatch between the S3 CMD CLI and Velero backup count. So I have raised this issue on the AWS SDK as well, that it would be great if the list objects v2 can return an error type that says that this is not a valid v2 response. But in the interim where this gets triaged in upstream SDK code base, there could be a way where Velero implements this in its own logic, like in its own branch, and then once it is implemented upstream, we can morph it to accept that change through the AWS SDK API. So I was just wondering if you guys have thoughts on handling this issue. Is this something users of Velero hate? Would you guys welcome this change? Things like that.
So we could certainly consider the PR. Can you tell us which object store is showing the problem?
Yes, so we are still confirming the object store. I think it was Ceph or another custom implementation. I keep forgetting name, but it was not confirmed from the client side yet. So we don't have 100% authority on answering that question.
Yeah, it's in a customer environment, so we don't have full access to sort of get into this as part of the problem.
Right. Yeah, so I would encourage feedback to the object store people as well, like, hey, you're not implementing the V2 API properly. So yeah, so I took a quick look at the PR that you referenced there, and in the current implementation, this will work. So it looks like you've got a global that's saying we should move to the V1 API. And in the current implementation, we restart the plugin on a regular basis. and we don't really run multiple things in parallel. But as we move forward, we'd like to be able to not restart the plugin all the time. So it's that try list v1. And we may actually have connections open to multiple object stores going through the same code. So longer term, we'd want to call out that needs to be, I don't know, we could either make it a config option for that particular object store / backup storage location, or eventually we'll have to think about something that tags it to that particular connection and not just kind of a global. Right now it'll work, but eventually that's going to break.
Right. So I'm not able to understand that. That's not a global for the entire plugin, right? It's declared inside the function. So what I'm attempting to do is that on the first v2 call, if we can see on line 330 that it is not a valid response, that's when we'll set it to true or false.
So how does wait? So how does that work then? So if you are setting to true and then returning, how does that persist to the next call?
Right, that return call is for the list objects v2 pagination to return.
I see. So it's inside that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then that should probably be okay. Log message?
Yeah, sure. We can add a log message there, definitely. And yeah, so the first time v2 call goes through, we'll figure out this is not a valid v2 response. We'll try again with v1. So this will certainly not break anything in the current code base. Like everything that's working with v2 as it is will work. So we'll update that and trace it again upstream. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, and if we could, change log, and if you can figure out which one's actually having the problem, it'll help to, just be able to know. So, so when customers come by with that later.
I did recall the name was Swift Object Store. That was so it's either Ceph based or Swift. I think we are in conversation with the Swift guys already, but it has not been confirmed from the client. So we'll let you know as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, any other discussion topics or anything else that folks want to raise?
This is a couple weeks old at this point. I'm going to jump in here because I just remembered it today. Minio relicensed under the AGPL, and that happened late May. So there may be a switch in the example S3 repository we use. VMware, just pulling the curtain back a little bit, VMware doesn't really like AGPL licensing. So as a VMware project, we may be having to switch which one we use, but I think we'll talk more about that later. Just wanted to let people know. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what all the linking and all that has, what those implications are within like Kubernetes manifests. It's not even in the containers, but we use Minio in our examples. And for folks that are trying to be on-prem, it's something we recommend, but we may have to switch up what that example is.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I think then we can end the meeting earlier today. I'm just going to stop the share. Okay, thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.